Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Bava Metzia, Pei Amud Aleph, Amud Yomi. We have started the Shiur now. So welcome to everybody here, Navas Shalom, Torah Anytime, and our YouTube crowd. Welcome to the new subscriber from Russia. Pei Amud Aleph. Pei Amud Aleph. This year's Nishmas of Imoyri Menachem Ben Akiva, Ruth Bas Shalom, Sol Bas Moshe, Lerefuas Naama Bas Rochel, Rama Chaim Ben Setei, Nina Chaya Bas Geula Rochel, Leah Bas Etel Chaya, Aviva Bas Devoiro, Beserch Shachol Yisrael. Stories, amazing, fascinating stories about the Heilige Amoraim that enhance our lives and our understanding of our Jewishness. Says the Heilige Gemara. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. We said, the Gemara said, we're in the middle of a story, and in the story, Rebbe, the son of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, declares that there are three real humble people in Jewish history. One of them is his father, as we're going to see, and the other two are Bnei Beseira, which we're going to visit as well, and also Yonasan, the son of Shaul. Excuse me, Yonasan, the son of Shaul. Okay, there are three major ones. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, Ho de Amoron. You're the biggest honor. Okay, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, Ho de Amoron. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, we explained why is Rabbi Shimon Gamliel called an Onov. Shimon Gamliel told his own son, Rebbe, don't worry about the fact that Rabbi Lozo Rabbi Shimon is greater than you, because Rabbi Lozo Rabbi Shimon, comes from good stock. He is what? An Ari ben Ari. He's a lion, son of a lion. He has his heritage. His father taught him, well, you, my son, you are a lion, son of a fox. And therefore, you don't come where he came from. So he admitted to the fact, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel admitted that he was less than others, than Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and that's really great, anova, that's being humble, that's humility. Bnei Beseira, what is it so about Bnei Beseira? Why are Bnei Beseira, who were they, and why were they considered such anovim? Says the Gemara, the Omar Mal, it says, Shivu Barosh, there was once a story about Bnei Beseira. They were the Nesiim, the family Beseira. They were Nesiim in Eretz Yisrael, the major, like, chief rabbi, something like that. They were the Nosi, the great Rabbonim, the leaders, and they did not know the halacha, a basic halacha, whether the Korban Pesach, Shechting Korban Pesach, on Erev Pesach, Chal B'Shabbos, do we say that you shecht the Pesach even though you're desecrating the Shabbos? Do we say that Pesach, overrules Shabbos? Yes or no? The answer is yes, by the way. Although there are many other limitations, but the shechita you can do. They didn't know that. And Hillel, the famous Hillel Azoken, came from Bavel, and they said, oh, this man looks knowledgeable. He knew the halacha. When they saw that he knows the halacha and they don't, they right away gave their throne, they gave the chair, which people don't like to do. Yeah, they gave in and placed and nominated, appointed Hillel to be the Nasi instead of them. So that's very nice. It's very humble. Hoshivu Barosh. They made him sit on the head. In other words, they made him be the head. Yeah, they promoted him to be the Nasi. He became the Nasi. Yonasan ben Shaul, the son of Shaul, was David's good friend. He was very humble. The Ka'omar Leila David. Shaul told his friend David, you will rule over Israel. You will reign over Israel, over the Jewish nation. I'll be your deputy, your vice king, viceroy, whatever. I'll be the second in command. Yeah, he put himself second, and that's very nice and humble, because if he follows his father, Shaul was a king then. David was only a king, in a hidden way. Yeah, David was not really known to be king yet. Shmuel anointed him, but people didn't know about it yet. So Shaul didn't know, Yonasan didn't know, and yet he wants David to be the king. That's very humble, to give your chair to somebody else. The Gemara, now the Gemara is questioning partially what Rebbe is saying, if it's true or not. The Gemara says, "Na mimai." How do you know? These are the Amoraim now coming to talk about what Rebbe said and starting to raise an eyebrow about Rebbe's statement. How do you know? Dilma Yonasan ben Shaul. Maybe Yonasan ben Shaul wasn't really such a great onov. I don't know if he learned Mesilas Yesharim and Orchos Tzadikim and internally was such an onov. Maybe. You know why he said David should be the first one, should be the actual king? The Chaza, he was pragmatic. He saw Chaza, the Gorir Alma Basal David. He saw that the people are following David. So he knew that David will be more successful than him. He's going to just, be voted in. Yeah, he's just losing the elections. You understand? And David is becoming number one. So we don't know if he was a novo or just, being realistic. Bnei Beser Nami, first wide line. But Metzia Pehel Amud Aleph, first wide line. Bnei Beser Nami, the Bnei Beser, those Nesim that gave in to Hillel, the Chazal Hillel the Odif Minayu. They saw that Hillel can answer questions, halachic questions, and they don't. It's not being an onov. It's just being with egg on their face. When people ask them halachic questions, they don't know. And that new man from Bavel, Hillel, he does know. So they were just being practical. Ella, however, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Vada and Vanosan Hava, and Vosan Hava. Oh, but Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, he had absolutely no reason in the world, no pragmatic reason in the world to say that Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai is greater than him. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai was nifter also at that point. The only reason why he really admitted to him being not as good as X was because he was an Onov. He was a real Onov. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel was a Nosi, was a Tana, and yet he was a big Onov. Yeah, he knew where he was, and that's a great trait. That's a good midah. Amar Rebbe. Now the story continues. Yesterday, in the previous Amud, we saw Baruch Hashem, we saw that Rabbi Lozer, Rabbi Shimon, accepted upon himself Yisurim, misery, suffering, accepted upon himself for many years, and this is how he got to Gan Eden. His body did not decay. He came to Olam Haba, perfect afterlife for Rabbi Lozer, Rabbi Shimon, because of the Yisurim. Yes, time for questions, but short questions now. Interesting. Let's continue and learn about Rebbe. We keep comparing here between Rabbi Lozer, Rabbi Shimon, and Rebbe. Omar Rebbe, said Rebbe, Chavivin Yisurin, I see that Hashem likes Yisurim. Chavivin Yisurin, suffering, misery, physical Yisurim, real affliction, is Chaviv, is good, it's good in the eyes of Hashem. Whoever has Yisurim in Olam Haba, he's going to get it better. He's going to have Gan Eden, and also his body would not decay. It's a big thing, eternity. He accepted upon himself Kleisar Shoni. Accepted upon himself 13 years. That was like his, mission. The amount of years that he's now willing to get into. Like you go to the army for a set amount of years, or for this, he accepted to have 13 years of Yisurim. What kind of Yisurim? Terrible things. Shis betzamirta, 6 years of having like stones, like kidney stones, but mamish when it's really bad. When the person urinates, to have a stone, that's really bad. Lo leinu. V'sheva betzafana. In 7 years, to have tzafana, it's safedet, which is, it's also in modern Hebrew, it's the name of a machla. It's like white spots in your mouth. Thrush in your mouth. Whatever, like have a thrush in the mouth, So, bekitzer, what? Whatever. So he accepted upon himself 13 years of Yisurim. The Amrila, some say it was the other way. Shiva b'tzamirta, to have 7 years of the terrible stones, when he goes to the toilet, the shis b'tzafana, and 6 years with Safarna, with the thrush, with a white, terrible soim wounds in the mouth, lo leinu. So now it's very interesting, because why 13? Because Rebbe probably would have loved his Yisurim to be Yisurim Shel Ava. There's a concept called Yisurim versus Yisurim Shel Ava. Yisurim Shel Ava means Hashem doesn't punish you because you did something bad. He punishes you so you get a better like in overdraft in Olam Hazeh. So in Olam Haba you get more, you get a bigger Gan Eden. It's Kilu Hashem is borrowing from this world, will give you much more in the world to come. Nothing wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. Hashem gives you Yisurim of Ava. So it's interesting because 13 is Ava. The gematria of Ava is 13, love. And also 13 midas of Rachamim, right? V'chulei. All these things to do with Ava is 13. Maybe that's why. Okay. Now the Gemara describes the terrible Yisurim. And also interesting that the two places that he wanted to have Yisurim were in the bris milah, when he's going to toilet, and also in the mouth. They have a lot to do with each other. They're both, the Maharal explains that you have 10 rulers in the person. You have the 2 eyes, the 2 ears, and you have the mouth. That's up here. And down there you have the 2 legs, the 2 hands, and the bris milah. Each one is to do with connecting with people. The mouth, you talk to people. You also sustain life by eating. And the place where you have children is where you have children. And this is how you connect with your wife, and you connect to the world through having generations to come. So there's a lot to do between Orla and Orla, a lot of things there. Bekitzer, he accepted Yisurim in those sensitive places, and you know what happened? Terrible description of the Yisurim. Ahurire de Bei Rebbe. Ahurire is the stable, the manager of the stables, not Stam the stable boy, the person in charge of the animals of Rebbe, of the house of Rebbe. Now, Rebbe was a very, very rich man. Now, the stable person, yeah, he had a stable job. Have a Osir, he was richer, Mishvur Malka, very stable job. He was even richer than the king himself. Shvur Malka was the Goysha king, was the king at the time of the Gemara. And Rebbe's stable man was even richer than him. Why did he keep such a job? Because that's what made him rich, yeah? The animals, the food, all that. Now, why do we say that? Kadhava Rami Kista Lechayusa, when he would feed the animals and throw the fodder in front of the animals, and he had a lot of animals and a lot of food to give, yeah? Hava Azil Kola Betlosomili, the voice of him giving the food, maybe the thump, boom, of the thump of the food coming down or the animals eating. For some reason, the animal feeding business was so noisy, Azil Kola, the voice would carry the close to mili, 3 milim, yeah, 3 mil away, that everybody would hear the voice of the food business. And now that stableman would care about Rebbe's dignity. So what would he do? Have a mechaven, he would dafka set it, he would set the time of the animal feeding, the Rami Bahishaita the Ail Rebbe Lebesakisa. The same time the Rebbe goes to toilet would be the same time that he would feed the animals. Why? Because Rebbe, when he never went to toilet, would scream from pain because he had the stones in the you know where. So Mimele Rebbe would scream so much, and he, out of caring about Rebbe, would make big noise, yeah, so people don't hear Rebbe screaming, but rather would hear the animals eating or the fodder being thrown. The afilu hachi, that didn't help. The afilu hachi, even though in spite of that, me'aver lekale lekalayu, wow, his voice overcame theirs, was stronger than theirs. The voice, the noise of Rebbe shouting, yeah, in agony, in pain, was stronger than the animals. To the point that even the people in the sea would hear that. The people by the port, the people by the beach, the people in the sea, even they would hear it. Much more than 3 mil. Yeah, Rabbi Yosef was in Yerushalayim. Far away, yeah, people would hear it. In spite of Rebbe's Yisurim being 5-star Yisurim, being, deluxe Yisurim, very, very great Yisurim, nevertheless, Yisur the Oblozo Bar Shimon, Adifi mid Rebbe. The Yisurim of Oblozo Bar Shimon were greater, were better in the sense than Rebbe. Why? Rabbi Shimon was in control of his Yisurim. In other words, he said in the morning, yeah, at night he says, hi, welcome Yisurim. Hi, what's going on, guys? Yeah, hey, brothers and friends, come to me, Yisurim, come to me in the evening. In the morning, he would say, okay, that was really nice, kind of, yeah, goodbye, now I need to go to learn. So he would be in total control of his Yisurim, and also they came when he wanted to. The Rebbe, however, Rebbe invited and ordered his Yisurim to come, but he was less in control of when it actually happened, alidei maisebo, alidei maiseholchu, which means, as we're going to see soon, there was a certain incident in the life of Rebbe that happened, and as a result of that, the Yisurim came for 13 years, and then he did something good, and the Yisurim went away. And it's not a steer, by the way. Rebbe did invite Yisurim to come, but he was not so much in control to decide when they come and when they go. He placed his order, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, I want Yisurim. When it comes and it goes, then Hashem will decide, and it has to do with a certain Kivyochel Avera Rebbe did, and they went away, yeah, when Rebbe corrected what he did. So he was not in full control of them. I was just thinking, my own idea, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm always scared to talk about the Hilig Tanoim, I'm not that kind of YouTube rabbi, I'm, Chas v'shalom about the Tanah, but it's interessant that there's a concept like you see by Avraham Avinu, he jumped into the fire, he was saved, right? His brother jumped into the fire, wasn't saved. Why? Because Avraham risked his life really. He didn't know whether he'll be saved or not. His brother said, oh, Avraham was saved. Scaredy cat, chicken. You saw Avraham was saved, you jumped into the fire, the same should happen to you. So you see that the one who initiated it was who? Rabbi Shimon. Rebbe basically followed Rabbi Shimon. So maybe Rebbe, in that respect, wasn't as great as Rabbi Shimon. Because Rabbi was the one who started it. Rebbe said, he did a great thing, I'll follow him. Not that it's a bad thing, Chas v'shalom, maybe there's a little bit less than Rabbi Shimon. Maybe that's why. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Chavivi Nisun. Rashi says that. Look inside and you'll see. Look in Rashi. Rashi says, yeah. Rashi says that he saw that by Rosh Ilu Yisun Shal Blazer, Shalosh Shol Tabarima. So, Blazer was helped and his body did not decay, was not eaten up by worm. That's good. I'll do the same. That says Rashi. Alidei Maisebau Mahi. What kind of deed did he do? What wrong did he do that the Yisurim came to him? What was the story? Dahu Egla. There was once a calf, yeah, a young cow, yeah, there's a calf. Davu Kamam to Leila Shchita. They took him for Shchita. You know, people like to eat young calves, right? The meat of the veal, right there, the young one is supposed to be more superior. Yeah. So what did they do? He was led to the slaughterhouse, the little calf, yeah. Ozal Talia Laresha, he went, Talia Laresha, he stuck his head, Bekanfe de Rebbe. That Egel, that little calf, Misken, didn't want to be shechted. He has a whole long life ahead of him. Yeah, wants to finish his PhD. Yeah, and what? And now Talia Laresha put his head in under Rebbe's tailcoat, the tail of his coat, the kabach, and he cried. The animal cried. Omerle, so Rebbe told him, spoke to the Egel, whatever that means, and he told him, Zil, go. Lekach notzarta. For that you were created. Yeah, I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. I'm not into all that. You're created to be shechted. Go, you're shechted. In a way, it was even consoling the animal. You're doing your tafkid in the world. Amri, they said, because Rebbe did not have mercy over the animal. Oh, now is the time that he deserves the Isurim because of not being sympathetic enough to that young eagle. Now, there's a very, very beautiful pshat here in the Marashah. Actually even say it now. The Marashah says, well, what's the story? Are we so much into being vegetarian and merachim the animals? Yeah, are we now in the RSC's PPA, whatever they're called? Says Rebbe something very interesting. First of all, there's a halacha, machlokas Rav Shmuel in a few places. What's the name? Majority of oxen, if you don't know, if somebody sold you an ox for shchita or leradia, for shechting or for working in the field, big shaila, the majority usually are sold for working in the field. Why should you shecht a young calf when it actually can become a good truck, a good tractor, yeah, a good combine in the field? And therefore, says the Maharsha, that's when Rebbe Kivyochel went wrong. A young calf should not be shechted. He has a whole life ahead of him to what? Not do a PhD. To do what? To work in the field, to till the earth. Then afterwards, when he's older, then you're supposed to shecht him. The meat won't be as fresh and succulent. That's your problem. You're consuming meat too much. And really, enochinami, to tell a young egel, yeah, to go to shecht. And also an egel, the shore is in Yiddishkeit is a choshev animal. The shore is something that is one of the 4 animals in Kisakovat. That's when Bnei Israel went too far with Egel Azov, right? Well, give me a second, yeah. And therefore, the Rebbe told the young calf, Lekach Netzarta, wrong. No, not Lekach Netzarta. No, he's supposed to still live a long life. I don't know how long, yeah. How long the animals live? 15 years, I don't know. Yeah, and then to be shechted towards the end of its life, that's where Rebbe was Kivyochol, and his high darga wasn't right, especially if the egel is coming to you. Now, well, 1 second, please. Let's continue the story, and then I'll answer your questions. Then Rebbe corrected what he did after 13 years, and then there was a Maisa, and then the Isurim went away. What was the other Maisa, the positive one? Yom Echad, one day, Avakakancha Amte de Rebbe Pesa. Amte de Rebbe is who? Rebbe is Ozeret, Rebbe is a maid, Rebbe is servant, female servant, the maid, yeah. She actually was sweeping the floor. She was sweeping the floor. Haveshadia b'nei kalkushta, yeah, she all of a sudden threw, yeah, she saw there, shadi usually means to throw. Here, yeah, there's another girsa. Lamai said there were children of a chulda. There were young weasels. Chulda is a weasel, but it's also a rat in whatever. It's either weasel or rat. Yeah, the kids said there were young weasels there. Yeah, the kakan shalahu. She starts sweeping them to throw them in the garbage. I guess they're too young to run away. They're usually very quick animals. Yeah, but sorry. Yeah, but those weasels, the little weasels, they couldn't run away. She was sweeping them away. Omar Lo, Rebbe told her, no, Shavkinu, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Yeah, animal rights. It says in what? It says in Tilim Ksiv, Verachamov al kol ma'asov. Hashem has mercy over all his deeds, even the young, the Maharsha says Chulda is called Chulda because Chulda is like Cheled. Cheled is the world of of dry land, because every creature has its version in the sea. And the chulda doesn't. There's no sea weasel, because the weasels, it says, are such low, lowly, horrible, disgusting animals, I identify, and therefore that's why they're like the lowliest animals. So now Rebbe was metaken. At the beginning, what did he do? He had no mercy even on the best animal, the shore, which is a part of Kisakovod, and he's young and pretty and with a promising future. Now Rebbe is such a changed man. Now what? Now he has mercy even over the most disgusting rodent, terrible thing. Even that he has a rachamim over that. Amri, so they said in Shemaim, because he had mercy over the even those pests, we'll have rachamim on him, and the Isurim will stop. So he ordered the Isurim, that's true, but the way it came, the way it go, was up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, up to the Maisim of Rebbe, and not automatically custom made. Yes, yes, yes. But there's the Gemara something interesting now. The Marsha is one of the strongest, most beautiful Marsha is coming up. Kulishani Yisuda Belozo, during the years of Rabbi Lozor, who accepted upon himself Yisurim, and you should know this is a concept all over Yiddishkeit. When a tzaddik accepts upon himself Yisurim, other people are benefiting from that too. Instead of many other people receiving Yisurim, tzaddik himself gets Yisurim. Rabbi Tzion Abba Shol Zatzal told me in person. He told me, and I heard that he accepted he has Yisurim, and his Yisurim are mechaper and other people. It's kavana. Terrible Yisurim, terrible back pain, he had machlos. He said his Yisurim are mechaper and other people's avoidance. Yeah, during all the years of Reb Lozer's Yisurim, l'shachiv inish beloy zimne. Nobody died, l'shachiv, nobody died beloy zimne early. Nobody had early death, not in the right time. That was the schar of Reb Lozer. Well, Rebbe has his Yisurim, the horrible Yisurim, le'itzrich alma lemitra. The world did not need any matar. The world did not need any rain. Yeah, there was like self-irrigation with no rain. Why is it such a mile not to have rain? We want rain. Explains the Gemara from Tainis. The Omer Rabba Bar of Shila, Kashi Yom Demitra Kiyom Dedina. The day of rain, although another place the Gemara says the day of rain is a day of blessing, but a day of rain is as hard and harsh like the day of din, like a day of judgment. I looked up Rashi over there because rain is annoying. Oh, ask every British person, right? Rain, rain, go away. Come in again another day before Shapasuk. In other words, yeah. In other words, it's very annoying to have the rain and you can't function, you can't go out, you can't work, you can't this. It's Yom Din. We need them. But we need the rain. We live in Eretz Yisrael. True. Says Amema, Ilav tzorich le'alma. If not for the fact that rain is something necessary, that the world needs rain, Rabbanan rachmi alei umevatli lei. Yeah, Rabbanan would have asked rachamim. Rabbanan would have asked HaKadosh Baruch to cancel, to annul the concept called rain. If you could have done without rain, it would be better, more convenient, sunny all day long. The weather is sunny, nice, and the field are irrigated automatically. Afilu hachi. Although in the years of Rebbe for 13 years it did not rain, kihavu akri pugla mimisha. If you would take out, if you would eradicate, if you'd pull out a pugla radish or horseradish from the misha, from the patch, yeah, from the ground, avokaima underneath you would see would be standing bira malia maya. You would see underneath a bowl, a pit full of water. In other words, the land itself, the earth, was naturally irrigated, like self-irrigated, yeah, without having the rain. The earth itself was like more marshy, was more watery and full of water, so you didn't need the rain. Now something very, very interesting. Says the Maharsha, look at the Sachar of Reb Lozo and the Sachar of Rebbe. In the times of Rebbe, nobody died early. Excuse me. In the times of Lozo, Reb Shimon, when he had Yisurim, nobody died early. In the times of Rebbe, we didn't have the harsh judgment called Geshem. Yeah, there was a softer, something softer, a nicer version than rain. Says the Maharsha, Mida Keneged Mida. Why is it that Rabbi Lozo, Reb Shimon actually went into the state of Yisurim? What did he have guilty conscience about? That maybe he indirectly killed people, right? He sent people to be killed because they stole. He had reasons. It was right. Mida keneged mida. Now his Yisurim were because of causing people to die. Now nobody died. Well, Rebbe, what was Rebbe's issue? Cruelness. Rebbe showed in his high darga, yes, some level of what? Cruelty, or being cruel towards the animal. Mimela, once he got Yisurim, there was extra rachamim that even rain, which is nice, but has a certain aspect of din, of judgment, even that didn't happen. That's a marshal. You see how each one, very nice, is mida keneged mida, is measure for measure. Now let's continue. Okay, more about the life of Rebbe. All about Rebbe. Yes. We're speaking about, I mentioned it yesterday. Moshe Rabbeinu was an honor of, it says in the Torah. Rebbe doesn't have to tell me Moshe was an honor. It says, Veish Moshe Adam Cholodom, last week's parasha. Rebbe is telling us further information. Yeah? Ikla, but it's a good question. Ikla Rebbe. Now we're going to see another aspect of the life of Rebbe. Rebbe would always take care of Yesoimim, Almonos, and second or third generation of the Tanoim. We're going to see now. Ikla Rebbe le'ater de Rablozer Reb Shimon. Rebbe came to the place of Rablozer Reb Shimon, where Rablozer Reb Shimon used to live after he was niftar, and his wife refused him. Okay, Omerle, Rebbe said, told them, ask the people around, the locals, Yesh lo ben lo'isoi tzaddik. Does this tzaddik have a son? Where's his son? Yeah, in other words, he was a great tzaddik. Well, what's left of him? Who is his son? Yeah, Omer lo yesh lo ben. He has a son. No, where does he learn the son? Ponevezh, Mir, Lakewood, Chabad, Gur. Where is he learning? You know where they're learning? V'chol, Chalila. V'chol zoino sheniskeres b'shnaim. Every prostitute that herself would charge two zuzim or 200, two sechar toy b'shmoine. She would hire him as a male prostitute for shmoine. Yeah, he was such an amazing guy in his profession. Yeah, he was so yofer. Rashi says he was so beautiful that a prostitute herself would hire him to be with her for 4 times over. Okay, interesting profession for a son of a Tana. Okay, Asya, he came and he said, well, Monol Itzlan, what's going on over here? Asya, he came. Asmechei berebi. He brought him, and he told him he has smicha. He told that boy who was dealing with any parent of off the derech can rest assured that their situation is not as bad as this one. Yeah, Asmechei berebi. And he told him, now you're Rebbe. He called him Rebbe. You are now called Rebbe. I give you smicha. Wow. I give you smicha. Self-esteem, high self-esteem. That's the first thing that these kids need. Rashi says something unbelievable. He says, why smicha berebi? So you should really live up to the job. Yeah, to the, here, I'm going to read it inside in Rashi. Interesting Rashi. Rashi says, why did he call him Rebbe? Yeah, he says, he should have like kina, he should have the zeal, yeah, he should be zealous to learn Torah. If I'm called Rebbe, I have to be a Talmud Chacham. People called me Rebbe, I have to live up to the title. And but he wasn't a Rebbe. He still had a lot of catching up to do. Yeah, after being involved in such an interesting profession, not exactly in yeshiva. The Ashlamei Rab Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya. He took him to Rab Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya. Rab Shimon ben Isi should be his Rebbe, his private tutor. Who was Rab Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya? Achois the Imei. In other words, Rab Shimon ben Isi was the son of Lakunya, who was the sister, or some say the brother of the mother of Rebbe. In other words, Rab Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya was a nephew was a son of a cousin of Rebbe himself. So I guess he knew that this man is good for boys like that, yeah. And Kol Yoima, every day he started learning by Rab Shimon ben Isi, who that boy, the son of Oblozo. His name was also Yossi, and he started learning in this yeshiva. Kol Yoima, every day, Hava Omar, every day he started saying, every day, the Kiryosi ani Ozil. Thank you very much, Rabbi. Very interesting. I'm going back home. He has an interesting life over there. Yeah, he's stuck in yeshiva. Every day he wanted to go back home to his previous life. It wasn't easy. Omar Lei, so his mentor told him, Rab Shimon ben Isi told him, well, you want to go back to that life? Chakim of the Yosach. They're going to make you into a chacham. You'll be a chacham. You'll be a wise man. You'll be a sagacious person. The gulta the dahava parsu alach. They will place over you a golden gulta is like a golden cape, like a golden, very, very beautiful garment. Gulta, you'll be dressed nice with gold. The Rebbe Korolach, they're going to call you Rebbe. and you say, I want to go back home to that filthy garbage life you lead over there in Tel Aviv, wherever. Why are you going back there? Omer Lei, so he told him at some point, Mumei, I swear, Mumta, Shvua, I swear, Azuv Vado, I'm leaving my previous life behind. Oh, staying in Esha Torah, staying in Or Sameach, not going back to wherever. Yeah, I'm staying here. He grew up, already hat and jacket, grew up and became a big Talmid Chacham. Also, he came one day, Yosef b'mativ to the Rebbe. He himself sat in the yeshiva of Rebbe, that same boy who was who he was, and then he grew up to be a Talmid Chacham, nice and slow. Yeah, Rabbi Yosef Bablozo, he sat in the yeshiva of Rebbe. Shamei lekalye. Now Rebbe heard the voice. He didn't recognize the person, of course. Rebbe looked very frum, yeah. And now he heard the voice, Omar, and he said, Rebbe commented on the voice. He's hearing the boy sitting and learning the Besmedrash. He recognized something interesting in the voice, and he said, Hakala, that voice, Dami lekali dobloza bab Shimon. Interesting coincidence. This voice is similar to the voice of Obloza bab Shimon, my good friend. Amulei. So they told him, Brehu, that's his son. Aches, yeah, that's his son. He's not sitting in yeshiva. Yeah, his story should be in Arachim, in Hidabrut. They should tell his story, the Alonim of Shabbat. Yeah, actually, they wouldn't. They wouldn't say the story in Alon Shabbat. Yeah. So Bekitza, it's too, rated, too graphic. Yeah. Kari so he called upon him. Rebbe mentioned the pasuk in relating to this story. Pri Tzadik Eitz Chaim, the fruit of the tzaddik, the physical fruit, the child of a tzaddik, Eitz Chaim, the tree of life, which is the Torah. Lokech nefasho is chacham. The one who buys, who acquires the nefesh, is wise. What does it mean? Pri tzaddik Eitz Chaim. Who is the fruit of the tzaddik? And by the way, Eitz Chaim in Gan Eden is the Torah. Why? I just saw yesterday. Eitz Chaim is called B'toy Chagan. Eitz Chaim was a tree which was exactly in the middle of Gan Eden, just like the Torah is the center and raison d'etre of the entire world. So Eitz Chaim is the Torah. He was physically the fruit of those people, but he was spiritually, he did not follow their way. The one who actually acquires the nefesh, the one who acquires their soul, who buys the soul to become like a surrogate father, is the Chacham. Rabbi Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya. Very good. Rabbi Shimon ben Isi ben Lakunya, yeah, he was the one that taught him Torah. And as we're going to see later, if you teach your son's friend, especially if the son is, there are two ways. Either the son is Talmid Chacham, the child is off, or the father is not Talmid Chacham. But if you teach someone else's son Torah, he becomes like your son. Spiritually, is like your son, as we saw in Metzia, right? The Rebbe is even more than the father. He brought you to Olam Haba. Kinach nafshe. Now, eventually, this man, this Choshev Etana, who started off not so well, nach nafshe, he was niftar. Rabbi Yosef Bablozo, yeah, the boy, eventually, old age, he was niftar. They brought him to the me'ora, to the cave, to the burial cave of his father and his grandfather too, right? Rablozo Rabbi Shimon. Oh, again the snake. Remember the snake? A snake was all around the me'ora. The snake was surrounding, circulating around the me'ora, around the cave. And Omer Lei, they told him, Achna, achna, knock, knock, snake, snake, Sach picha, open your mouth early. The kanis ben aviv, and we want the son to come to the father. As opposed to the previous story, here it didn't work. Loi pas chalahu. The snake stayed very obstinate. The snake was stubborn, not letting you in. No, the snake would not let them into the cave, and he did not allow them to bury Rabbi Yossi Bar Blozo together with Rabbi Blozer. Because people thought shezeh godol mizeh. They assumed, well, Rabbi Blozer Bar Shimon is greater than his son, Rabbi Yossi Bar Blozer. Very nice, Rabbi Yossi Bar Blozer was Chozer B'tshuva from where he was. Wow, amazing, but maybe he's not as great, so he cannot lie next to him in the caver. Yotz the bas koil v'omro. A bas koil came from heaven and said, in Torah, in Maisim Tovim, is not greater than him. Rablozo himself, the father, was in Tsa'ar Me'ora. We all know the story of Lag BaOmer, that he was in the cave originally when he was younger. Rablozo was in the cave with his father, B'tzar, for 12 years, and then an extra year They were in the cave, not eating anything except for charuvim, except for carobs, yeah, and drinking the water, and they were up to the necks in sand and just learning itzar. So that level of learning Torah mitoch tzar was the only level Rabbi Lozer was in, and his father. But Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Lozer was never there, and because of that, that was the difference between them. Mechavrusa commented, it's interesting, why don't we say that Rabbi Lozer had the other horrible Yisurim, right? True, for many years, yeah, he would have all these every night. He would have those horrible wounds all night long. Why don't we say that he had Yisurim while Rabbi Yosef's son didn't have those Yisurim? Why is the difference between them the Tsar Me'or, right? The fact that he learned, yeah. So I think the reason is the Yisurim of Rabbi Lozer were not directly connected to his Torah. He had Yisurim by night when he was supposed to be sleeping. By day he would learn Torah normally. Tsar Me'or means that he learned Torah mitoch Tsar. You learn Torah from amidst suffering and with very harsh conditions. And that kind of Torah is different. It affects the level of Torah. If a person learns Torah and he has trouble, and that's what the Rambam says, they all say, a person learns Torah. The Mishnah says, Pas b'melech toichal, a person learns Torah, even though he has many, many Yisurim and Tzoros, and he still manages to concentrate, the Torah he learns will be much better than a guy who has millions in the bank, sits with his iced coffee on the beach and learns Torah. That Torah is very, very different. The level, the quality of Torah is different. And I think that's a message over here. And I'm pretty sure I heard it in some kind of Musar Shmuz in the past. Yeah, it's an okay time for a quick question now. Very nice. Very nice. Baruch said something very good, Ledaiti. You see that the pool, to go back to your secular lifestyle with all the pleasures and the money, he had a good life in secular terms. He was so strong that the only thing that actually disconnected him from going back there was a shvua. You make a shvua, that's something so strong, only that made him stop and restart, his life. Very good. It had to be a shvua. Very nice. Anything less than that wouldn't do the job, wouldn't do the trick. Very good, very good. Another similar story about Rebbe. Ikla Rebbe le'atre de Abtalfon. Now Rebbe came to the town where Rab Tarfon the Tana used to live. Omar lehu, and they asked the people there in town, Yesh lo ben le'oisoi tzadik sho mekapech hezbonov, which means that tzadik Rab Tarfon, he had an interesting custom, Rab Tarfon, whenever he was very certain about his opinion, yeah, he would say, Ani mekapech hezbonai. I would cut my kids and put them in the grave. If this is not true. I swear that if what I say is not true, 1,000,000%, I'm 100% sure in my opinion. For example, he says, in Gemara in Shabbos Kuftet Zayin, that's one place. He says, I know that if a Reform rabbi writes a Sefer Torah, which they do, but he's a koifer, that Sefer Torah should be burnt with the Shemes HaKadoshim. The Sefer Torah written by Rabbi Elizabeth, Juliet, Rabbi, I don't know, John, who was married to another John. Yeah, these rabbis, they write the Sefer Torah, burn the Sefer, with a shemus. Yeah, that's, for example, one thing. Rabbi Tarfon said, I would kill my kids if so and so. He was a great person. Now, Rebbe is like saying, does he have children? He said so many times, I would kill my kids. Maybe that's liftoch pela soton. He's tempting luck, and maybe really his kids are no longer here, spiritually or physically. Amuloi, so they replied, and they said, Ben Enloi, he has no sons. Bas Yeshlo, he has a daughter. Ben Bas, he has a grandson, a son of his daughter. And believe it or not, same story, because Zoyne sheniskeres b'shnaim, every Zoyne, every harlot that would herself charge to whatever, Secharta b'shmoyne, she would hire him for 8. Same story. Another male prostitute, Lo Aleinu, a grandson of Atana, Asiu Lakamei, they brought him to Rebbe. Rebbe dealt with him directly. Omer Lei, Rebbe told that young boy, the grandson of Rabbi Tarfon, if you chozer b'tshuva, yahivna lach bartoi, I'll give you my daughter. That for him was supposed to be something very chashuv, to marry the daughter of Rebbe. Hadarbe, was chozer b'tshuva. Yeah, put a kippah and told all his clients, I closed the business. Yeah, Hadarbe, chozer b'tshuva. Ikadamri, some say nosva v'girsha. He married Rebbe's daughter, but he divorced her, and soon we'll see why. Some say he didn't marry her. Now he was very flattered and very honored, and it made a change in him. What was the change? The self-esteem. Rebbe says, how many of us would give our daughter to such a boy? Nobody. right? Rebbe said, I value you so much, I'm willing to give you my daughter. He didn't marry her. Why didn't he marry her? Maybe she was a nice girl, Rebbe's daughter. Probably yes. So people shouldn't say, Bishvil Zoi Chozer Zeh. That boy, Reb Tarfon's grandson, had dignity. He didn't want people to say, you know his Chozer B'tshuva? You know what he did in his previous life? Look online. Yeah, I'll show you that it's really not because of I'm Chozer B'tshuva because I was promised a daughter of a rabbi. I'm Chozer B'tshuva L'Shem Shamayim. Good L'Shem Shamayim is triggered by good self-esteem. But I don't want to marry her because I don't want people to say I married her, and that's the only reason I'm Chozer B'tshuva. It's not the only reason. It's a trigger. It's not the reason. Or maybe he married her and then divorced her because, maybe he felt bad from Rebbe, from the girl. He married, but then he was Chozer. That's another question. If you can marry Almanas to get divorced, you can. Lo Meshane. We're getting a little bit tight with the questions. You start with being insincere and eventually get sincere. Yeah, Psochim, Nunvav, Amud Beis. Frag the Gemara, okay? Which Shvua? No, there's no Shvua here. There's no Shvua. I explained. He was sincere enough that for good self-esteem, I don't think so. He was sincere. Forget, he was sincere. That's why he didn't want to marry the girl, which was the trophy, the candy dangled in front of him. He said, I really believe Chozer B'tshuva. He had low self-esteem, which is the cause for all the Averas. Once he realized I can marry a daughter of Rebbe, the Nosi, the Tana, the Choshuv, means I'm worth something. And then he was Chozer B'tshuva. That's the way I understand it. Right. Very good. Nachon. Frag the Gemara now. The Gemara is asking, why did Rebbe start this mission? What's he gaining? What's the big deal of Rebbe? Why is Rebbe looking searching for his son, his grandson? Why is Rebbe so busy looking for? Rebbe was a very, very busy man. Why is he searching around to look for the children of Tanoim, v'chulei, to see what's happening with them and being machzir them the tshuva? Why is he the first guy who started Arachim? The Omar of Yuda Omar Rav, the Amrila, some people say Omar Rab Chia bar Abba Omar Rabbi Yochanan. That's the other version. The Amrila, some people say Omar Rab Shmuel bar Nachmeni Omar Rabbi Yonason. What did they say? Kol Melamed es ben Chavoiro Torah. Whoever teaches his son's friend Torah, let's say the friend cannot teach him, can't come to Avos Labanim, either because he's dead or because he's not frum or because I don't know, and you teach the child, Zoiche v'yoshe b'shiva shel mala. Wow, Imam is going to be in the Kadosh Baruch Hu's Olam Haba. In Olam Haba, he'll be sitting in the higher place, the highest place in Yeshiva Shemala. What do you do in Gan Eden all day long? They learn Torah. Yeah, he'll be sitting in the very high place. Sheneemar, Im toshuv v'ashivcha. If you'll be machzir b'tshuva and people do tshuva because of you, lefonai tamod, you'll be standing in front of me, says Hashem. You mamish be standing with Hashem if you teach other people's children Torah. But this is not a son of an Amoret, Stam. You teach someone else's Torah, could be even a son of a Tana, who himself cannot learn Torah, is just too busy being what is, yeah? Now, another statement, let's say a person teaches a son of an Amoret, you take a guy from a kibbutz, a guy from, I don't know, a child of somebody who has no idea about Torah, even if a Kadosh Baruch Hu, decides a decree, a gzera, a harsh decree, that one who took a kid from the kibbutz with long hair and made him into Talmid Chacham, he has the power to cancel and annul and change the gzeres of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah, Hashem decides there is a Holocaust, there won't be a Holocaust just because of him. Sheneemar, as it says, if you take out the dear, the nice, the expensive, the precious, out of the zolel, out of the cheap, kefiti, you'll be like me, you'll be like my mouth, you'll be like Hashem's mouth. That this is something very nice. Says the Maharsha, again, midah keneged midah. You take a kid to Ben Amoritz, a complete Amoritz, the father has no idea what's going on, bichlal. You take that kid, make him Talmud Chacham. You have such stories, right? Yeah, he went to Dirshu, he went to this, a son of complete. My son-in-law told me as a friend that comes from super Russian, all the family was sports people, not connected to Torah. I'm connected to Chinese. The son learns in yeshiva. Mama choshev find a bachar Talmud Chacham. Yeah, that's lamalam in teva. You changed teva. You took the guy from Russia from the kibbutz. Same thing can be the keneged mida. You who changed teva, you'll have the koach to change teva. And Hashem decided there will be a war. There won't be a war just because of you. because you change the course of nature, you'll have the koyach to really change the course of nature. You'll be kivyochol like a Kadosh Baruch Hu, kefitiye. Amar of Parnach, Amar of Yochanan, another statement in the same direction. Kol shehu Talmid Chacham, whoever's Talmid Chacham, ubnoi Talmid Chacham, and his son is also Talmid Chacham. The ben bnei Talmid Chacham, 3 generations. Oh, that's a chazaka. Shuv ein Torah posekes mizar leolam. The Torah will never cease. The Torah will never stop from that family. That family of yichus of 3 generations, they will be there forever. They will always be Talmid Chachamim. We're going to see some reservations here, but Begadol, the Torah will always stay in that family after 3 generations. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Shloisha, that's like Chazaka, 3 generations, and then it keeps going. Shneimar, it says, as we said this morning and we say every day, Vani zoet b'sir somam Hashem, the words of Torah should not move from your mouth, from the mouth of your son, from your grandson. Hashem said, what did he say? From now and forever. My Omar Hashem. What did Hashem say? What did Hashem say? Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ani orev lecha b'dover zeh. I'm an orev to you. I can guarantee b'dover zeh that what? What is ma'atov ad olam? What Hashem guarantees that something will happen forever and ever. My ma'atov ad olam. What is it that Hashem promises will happen forever and ever? Amar Yomi, amikan ve'elach, from now on, after the 3rd generation, Torah mechazeres al achsanya shelo. The Torah will keep coming to its achsanya, to its natural home, to its place, to its home. Oh, explains the Maharsha, excuse me. First of all, in reality, I don't know if we see every 3-generation rabbis, all the kids are Talmidei Chachamim. I don't know. And secondly, what about B'chir Chavshis? What do you mean? It's an automatic robotical thing? There are 3 rabbis in the family, 1, 2, 3, I don't know, of this, that. And now the child is automatically Talmid Chacham. Where's his B'chira? Where's his choice? Explains the Maharsha, no. Of course, the great-grandson of Rav Eliashiv, I don't know who, I think Rav Eliashiv, I think of 3 generations, yeah. Of course, he can be whatever he wants. However, it's easier for them to go back to the status of the fathers. And secondly, it says very nice, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm an Orev. What's an Orev? Guarantor. A guarantor, if you notice, is a rather passive guy. Remember Ezu Neshech? Yeah, Ezu Neshech. Yeah. There's the Malva and Loy over there active. The Orev sits in the side and says, if anything wrong happens, I'll take care of it. Oh, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm an Orev. Maybe the great-grandson of Rav Eliashiv of the Stipler, maybe they will go off, yeah? But I'm an Orev, yeah, that if they do come back, I'll make it easier for them to come back. And also, if they do come back, they'll be as great as a grandfather. That's the difference. In other words, because the person toiled so hard in Torah, and he became Talmid Chacham, his son is his grandson, they created a level. So let's say there are 2 people, one from that family, not one from another family. A kid from that family, if he becomes Talmid Chacham, the quality of his Torah will be as great as his ancestors. While a regular guy, not necessarily so. That's a difference. It's qualitative, not quantitative. The quality will be higher. Achsanya shalo. It will be the same achsanya, the same level, the same home. That's the idea. Now, of course, you can create your own. Nobody says yichus is everything. Yichus is nothing if you don't follow the yichus. If you're not coming from a grandfather who's a tzaddik, you start a new dynasty of Talmidei Chachamim. Rav Yosef, more in the same. Rav Yosef Yosef Arboin Ta'anisa. Rav Yosef sat and 40 days he would fast. Yeah, why would he fast for 40 days? Look what happened. V'akriyu, from Shamayim, they made him hear the pasuk, Lo yamushu mipicha. He got a promise from Hashem. The words of Torah will not stop from you, will not go away from you. Yosef Arboin Ta'anisa Achrini. He set another set of 40 days fasting. He fasted another 40 days. Then came another pasuk. Lo yamushu mipicha mipi zaracha. Now I got the children. The words of Torah will not stop from you or your children. Yosef mea tanis achrini. Then he set another set of tanesim, 100 days, and some say 40 days. There are 2 versions. Also, and then he came back for you. Then they called the pasuk from Shemaim upon him. Third generation after fasting for, so either fasted 3 times 40, and then he got the promise, you, your son, your grandson, right? Or the last time, some say 100. Why? Because the last one he wants for generations to come, for forever and ever. Because we know once it's 3, then the system works forever and ever. That's why we have to fast even more. Now, Omar, now should he fast again for the great great grandchild? No. Mikan velech, from now onwards, lo tzrich, now I don't have to fast anymore. Broke the diet. Torah mechazer salachsanya shalo. The Torah will go back to its original achsanya. Who else fasted for 40 days times 3 in order to receive the Torah? I think it was Moses. Moshe Rabbeinu fasted for 40 days times 3, and this is basically what Rav Yosef is doing the same. Moshe did it on a national level. Rav Yosef says, hey, that's working for others, I'll do the same, and he did. So Rav Yosef was doiche after fasting for 40 days times 3 to have him, his child, and his grandchild, and then from then on, it works already. Again, not completely automatic, but it means that there's much higher chances of having more kids and having higher level of Torah in the family. Although, of course, there's always bechira, there's always a personal free will. Yes, you can ask a quickie or say an observation. Rab Zera continues the Gemara, another story. Rab Zera, when Rab Zera made Aliyah from Babel to Eretz Yisrael, why did he make Aliyah? To learn the Torah of Eretz Yisrael. Now, the style of Talmud Bavli, the Torah they learned in Bavel and the Torah learned in Eretz Yisrael, is very, very different. As we see today, the style of Talmud Bavli and Talmud Yerushalmi is extremely different. One of the stark differences between Bavli and Yerushalmi, I have to admit I'm not such a Yerushalmi guy, from the bit of Yerushalmi that I learned, Yerushalmi has much, much shorter discussions. A discussion in Yerushalmi would last for 3-4 lines. In the Bavli, we all know, there are sugyas can go on for 3-4 dapim, a slalom of back and forth and opinions and questions. It's never ending. It's a big thick forest, Bavli, and it's fascinating and everyone loves learning it. Yerushalmi is less attractive because the discussions in Yerushalmi are much shorter and less aggressive, as the Gemara says. Rab Zera now is making aliyah, not in order to live in a kibbutz and pick oranges. Rab Zera is making aliyah in order to, instead of learning the Torah of Chutz La'aretz, he now wants to learn the Torah of Eretz Yisrael. So he has to have now a change in his mindset. He has to have a shift of mind. Rab Zera, kisalik la'ad Yisrael. Rab Zera went up, made aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. Yosef Meir Tanisa. He fasted for 100 days. The lishtakach Gemara bavlo minei. Wow. In order to forget the Gemara he learned in Bavel. Now, I don't think it means to say to forget Bava Kama Bava Metzia, but to forget the mindset. He wanted to really, 100 days he had to fast in order to clean his mind from the previous kind of thought process of arguing and finding faults with your friends' words. So it shouldn't bother him. Now I'm coming to the Besmedish in Eretz Yisrael. I want to start a fresh, clean slate in order to now, because in Eretz Yisrael, it would be much more accommodating. If somebody would say something, they'd be much more supportive of what he say, as opposed to Bavel, where they'd be up in arms against each other. Yosef Me'achranisa, then he fasted another set of 100 fasts. The lo lishkov Rab Elazar b'shani, so Rab Elazar should not die while he, Rab Zera, is still alive. The naflin iluye mila de tzibura. Rab Elazar, which the big Talmid Chacham, was also like the Askan. He was like the macher, the person in charge of the tzibur. So he davened, I hope Rab Elazar doesn't die, because if he dies, I know that it will make me be the Askan. It will make me be the macher. I don't want that. I want to sit and learn. The Yosef Me'achrini, another 100 days he fasted. The lo nishlot beinura de Gehenim. Wow. So the fire of Gehenim in Olam Haba, in the opposite of Olam Haba, should not take hold of him. He should not be affected by the fire of Gehenim. Now, I don't think, as Mechavrus very correctly said, I don't think anybody who fasts 100 days will not get Gehenim. You have to be Rab Zera. You have to be holding where he's holding, and the cherry on top, not to have Gehenim, is to fast 100 days. But maybe no, I don't know. Try fasting 100 days. Now, so he fasted 100 days, and now he was immune to fire of Gehenim, and Kol Shekin, he was immune to fire in Olam Hazeh. Yeah, fire would not affect him, would not burn him, wouldn't scorch him at all. Kol Tlosin Yomi, every 30 days, have a body knafshe. He would test himself, every 30 days to see if he's susceptible, if he's flammable and not flammable. He himself, Shogar Tanura, he lit the tanur, he lit the oven, Salik, he went up Yosef Begavei, a big tanur. He would sit in the tanur, which was really, really hot, and nothing. Yeah, every 30 days, he would sit there in the tanur. Nothing happens. Nothing happens to Zera. Everything is good. Fire. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the Maroi, Mechayim Mesim? Yeah. Why every 30 days? The Marsha says because Gehenim restarts every 30 days. Every 30 days, there's the reheat Gehenim. Yom Echad, one day, Yahavu be Rabbanon Eina. Oh, Rabbanon all of a sudden noticed that, oh wow, did you notice that Rav Zer is sitting in the Tanur and nothing's happening? Do you see what I see? In other words, it was noticed already, noticeable, and known to others that he has that interesting trait of, wow, not being affected by fire. And that caused, I don't know if it's ein hara or whatever, it wasn't hidden anymore. Once people know about it, it loses the effect. At that very second, his shokaim, his thighs, already were scorched. Yeah, already not burnt, but charuch, they were like scorched, like singed. Yeah, and then obviously he ran away. The correlate from that moment onwards, they called him. He had like the nickname Kotin Charich Shake or Ktina Charich Shake, the small one, because Rabbi Zera was also called Rabbi Zeira, the small one. He was always a short man, and now he was called the shorty, the short one with a burnt shokaim, with a burnt thighs. Yeah, burnt thighs shorty. That was like his nickname. And yet, it's Mechan Hashem. I guess he didn't care. I guess he didn't mind that they called him that way. Maybe it was a compliment that he was holding in such a high darga. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But Lamai said that was his name from then on because at that moment the fire did control him a little bit. But other than that, you see the very, very unbelievably amazing high level of the Heilige Amoraim. We can only try and begin to emulate their Maisim Tovim. Thank you very, very much. And don't give up on children, even if they are not following your path. Thank you very much, Rabbi Chashuvim. And I'm up to questions. Thank you to everyone in Torah Anytime, our YouTube subscribers, and everybody else. Thank you to everybody here in the room. See you tomorrow with more fascinating stories. It's a God at a time. It's fun. Atzlocha Rabba. Thank you very much.